accommodate the urban red African-American voter turnout machine. In other words, they don't like to help black Americans get to the voting polls. In Virginia, the Department of Justice yesterday signed off on the state's new voter ID law for the first time. Residents will now have to show some form of ID in order to vote. And in Pennsylvania last week, a judge refused to block the state's strict new photo voter ID law, which may disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of people, mostly Democrats. With me now is Michael Nutter, the great mayor of Philadelphia. Mayor Nutter, thanks for joining us. Let me just start with a case in point. A 72-year-old woman comes up to you. She lives in a row house in North Philly or West Philly, and she says, I'm worried, Mr. Mayor. I don't think I can vote this time. How can I vote? I don't have a driver's license, haven't driven in years. How do I get to vote?
Well, those are the kinds of situations that the Pennsylvania Voter ID Coalition is geared up, along with the Committee of 70. You know the Committee of 70, Chris. We're geared up here in Philadelphia to address just those concerns. The state put out a recent piece of material about how to get a free voter ID from the Department of State if someone is faced with that kind of situation. So we just need to get to the facts. Do you have a Social Security card or your number? Do you have proof of where you live, a utility bill or something like that, and your birth date? If you can give that information over to the PennDOT, the Department of Transportation, fill out the necessary forms to verify that you don't have all of this other data or ID information, you can, in fact, get a free voter ID. But we're encouraging folks to be a part of this coalition, 1-866-OUR-VOTE, or go to the Committee of 70. In Philly, of course, you can call 311 to get information. My focus, our focus here in the city government, utilizing every resource we can for all voters, is to make sure that every eligible voter has the information that they need. We're printing up materials. We're issuing new IDs. We'll soon be issuing new IDs to all of our public employees because municipal governments have to put an expiration date on their city employee IDs, and getting people the information they need through the clergy community, through the civic community, through our civil rights community, through activists out in the neighborhoods, and all the elected officials geared up and ready to go to make sure that everyone can vote and that no one is disenfranchised in this election. That's our focus right now.
Let me tell you my problem. And I covered Katrina, and Mayor Nagin, who's not at all of your level, I must say, said before to Katrina, we're going to try to get 90% of the people out of that city before the flood comes. Well, you know, that sounded like a pretty good effort. And then 50,000 were left behind to drown, basically. My concern is, I don't know what, I'm sure yours is too, we're going to find ourselves in a morning after situation where Pennsylvania may have gone slightly in the direction of either candidate, and all of a sudden Pennsylvania stands out there as the state that's going to define who wins the presidency the next time around. Is that are you concerned that might happen because of 700,000 people being denied the right to vote unless they go out and get this extraordinary effort to get an ID card?
Well, my concern is that we take every effort that we can every day between now and the election to identify all those folks, young, not so young, and everyone in between, that they have the information that they need, that we get them to these PennDOT centers. We need to talk about hours of operation and additional access issues. So I'm going to use the time that I have and work with our partners, people like Joe Sertain over at the Pennsylvania Voter ID Coalition and Zach Stahlberg at the Committee of 70 and the black clergy and so many other groups, our unions, and the coalition that's been put together, not just here in Philadelphia, but even some of our surrounding counties are participating. I want to make sure that everyone can vote and that we don't have the kind of scenario that you laid out, which, of course, we're concerned about. Our efforts are going to be that everyone votes and that Pennsylvania stays, in my Democratic hat, that Pennsylvania stays a blue state.
Okay, let me ask you, this is my challenge to you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Mary Shields, my grandmother, living on 15th Street, right off of Hunting Park in Broad, where we grew up. And I'm 72 years old right now, Mr. Mayor, and I want to vote, but I haven't driven a car for years. What should I, Mary Shields, do right now to get a voter card?
What you should do right now is call 1-866-OUR-VOTE, or I may have to visit your aunt personally, but we'll make sure that she gets the information that she needs. And then we're working on a transportation network to get folks like your aunt to the PennDOT station, fill out the form, stay with that person, work with them, and make sure that she gets her ID, because I know she wants to vote this November.
Well, let me do something you can't do, Mr. Mayor, but I know you won't mind me doing. get a hold of your committeemen, Democratic committeemen or Republican committee. These people work round the clock. They love politics. They're ready to take your phone call. You know who this guy is or this woman is. She lives within a couple blocks of you. Call that guy or woman up right now if you're worried about voting and ask them to personally make it possible for you to vote on election day. I want that person, even if they're Republican or Democrat, whatever, you get a hold of that committee person. Wouldn't that be a smart thing to do?
Absolutely, and I want to commend Congressman Bob Brady, who's also, of course, our party chair here. We've had outreach from the Obama campaign, haven't heard anything from the Romney campaign. My focus as mayor is to make sure that everyone has the ID that they need. Folks will figure out who they want to vote for come the election. You already know who I'm for, but we need to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to vote. The Democratic Party and our committee people and our great ward leaders are geared up and ready to go to make sure that everyone can vote this November.
Okay, Bob Brady. Having that meeting Monday night. All 69 ward leaders, all the good guys are going to be there. The AFL, and it's going to be the ACLU, the NAACP. Everybody's going to be at that meeting.
This is an incredible coalition that's been put together.
Maybe it's going to wake up that machine a little more than it's been woken up. Anyway, thank you, Mayor Michael Nutter of my hometown. We love Philly. When we return, let me finish with